hush comes over. All right, we're going to reconvene the town council meeting at 7:01. As you can see, the mayor is out today, as well as Councilmember Hendricks. With that, I'd like to move to the next item, public comment. No action will be taken on these items. Public comment is an opportunity for the town residents and other interested individuals to speak about items that are not on the agenda. This comment period is limited to 30 minutes total time, with each individual having a maximum of 3 minutes to speak. You must sign up ahead in order to comment, and that sign up begins 30 minutes prior. Council will accommodate you. If we cannot accommodate you in the 30 minutes, we will open it up at the end of our meeting to take care of the rest of the people. With that, I have two people signed up. Andrew?
Mr. Mayor Pro Tem,
Yep.
should we start with the pledge and then get into public comment, sir?
Andrew? It's not on the agenda, my apology. I should know this, so we will get to you. Thank you, Councilmember Rivera. My pledge.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Please forgive me for my oversight.
No, the pledge is more important.
Next item, public comment, Mr. Andrew, please. Name and address, and you have 3 minutes.
My name is Andrew Steers. My address is 19165 East Terlago Creek Place in Stroh Ranch.
Okay.
I come here for something stupid, parking. I know, nobody likes to talk about parking. However, there is one HOA, despite a law that was passed by the legislature last year, that has chosen to enforce, or to say they're enforcing, the town's ordinance for parking. Now, a little bit about me. I'm an attorney. I actually work for the county attorney's office for Douglas County. Among my jobs, I had to research this legislation. And what's clear is that the point of the legislation was that HOAs are no longer allowed to regulate parking unless the town gives them permission. Now, Parker has never explicitly given any HOA permission to regulate parking in the town. And the reason is obvious. The reason is because if Parker were to give permission for that, what you would be doing is creating an agent of the HOA. You would be ceding your police powers to the HOA to do what is essentially a police action, which is regulating parking. And what that would mean is, if I were to sue my HOA, which I want to be clear I don't want to do because our fees are low and I like that, is I would also sue the town of Parker because you've made the HOAs agents if they are enforcing town ordinances. Now, they put out a letter and they've received legal advice saying that they can do that. That's clearly erroneous. So what I'm asking you to do is to amend the town ordinance and state explicitly that you are not allowing HOAs to exercise police powers and to regulate what Parker Police should be doing because they're trained, they're post-certified. I've worked with them for many years. I was a DA for a long time. They're wonderful guys, and I know that they know what they're doing. An HOA board, love them or hate them, they don't know what they're doing. Thank you very much.
Thank you. All right, the next, we have a Chris. Please come forward, name and address for the record.
Good evening, council members. I don't know if you remember me. I know at least Mr. Rivero did. My name is Chris Opfer. I am an attorney here in Parker. I represent the Steers family, and so for purposes this evening, I am representing Mrs. Steers, so therefore the 3 minutes. Again, we're here to talk about parking, and if you recall what I asked last time was that you really look at Code 10170. The issue that we have is that if we go this other route, this HOA is expecting Parker to stand in for them and defend them. And I doubt Parker really wants to do that. The bigger thing is this is not a widespread issue. We've already had the state step in. There's even some home rule discussion. Regardless, this is something that it doesn't have to be this extensive. And this was something, I think it was 2001 when we were talking about this, when this actually went into effect. But the bigger concern is, and I actually had the, I would say privilege, at least I was able to sit and drink some coffee and listening to many of you discuss parking. I think it was the September 9th meeting virtually. And you all were really about as enthused as we are discussing parking downtown and what was happening with that. But there was a couple things that I actually noted mentally. One was that I didn't hear anything from anybody saying, hey, we really want private entities, which is what an HOA is, right? They actually are nonprofit corporations in the state of Colorado. They are private entities. They file taxes accordingly. I did not hear anybody say, hey, let's have private entities regulate what's happening on Old Schoolhouse, right? Let's have them start ticketing people so we don't have to worry about it. Instead, you all are talking and saying, hey, let's get the police involved. Let's do volunteers. Let's maybe amend the code for 24 hours instead of 48. Seemed like that was kind of exciting. What we don't want is we don't want private entities regulating. And Mr. Steers is right. We absolutely run into the agency issue. And that's where they think that they're at this point. And the other issue is they're actually not even enforcing Parker's ordinances. Even though it's Parker's roads, it's the ordinances that the HOA has put into effect based on 10170. So, really my hope is, sincerely, and I know that you all are still, and I was able to hear the Parker attorneys discussing this in that same meeting on the 9th. I know that they're going to continue to look into this. My hope is that you add this to that list. Just say, hey, at least look into this. They can look into the statute that was passed here in Colorado. They can look and see how many HOAs are doing this, see if this is something that Parker still wants to do. Because, again, we're trying to exhaust all remedies first. That's sincerely why we're here. As much as y'all are fun to hang out with, and we have a lot of, it looks like students watching. You guys all excited to watch this? This is pretty brilliant, right? The police officer's going to drag me out in about 24 seconds. So, but we really want to exhaust all remedies before we have to pursue anything else. We love this town. Mr. Steers loves this town. We've raised our children here. So that's what we asked this evening. Thank you, council members.
Thank you very much. That is the last individual I have signed up. Is there anybody else who would like to come before us for public comment at this point in time? Seeing none, I will close public comment at 7:08. Thank you. The next item is reports, items, and comments from mayor and council. Councilmember Rivero.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor Pro Tem. Friday, we held our annual budget retreat. We met here in town and discussed the 2025 budget and all-day event talking about all things funding and just an incredible discussion, obviously led by an incredible staff. All departments were involved. The finance team is the leader of that group, and I just will state again that they are award-winning. And I look forward to another award-winning budget for 2025 when we're done with the work. This starts in late spring, early summer. Staff gets into the weeds, and then it's presented to us on Friday, and then we get into the weeds over the next couple months, and we are done by the 31st for presentation to you, the public. So, more to come.
Thank you very much. Councilmember Barrington.
Yes, it has been a very busy few weeks. On the 18th, I attended a women's forum for the Chamber of Commerce, and then I was out most of the week of the 23rd at a Community Leaders of America conference where we had at least 15, maybe 20 breakout sessions, and I'm excited to share with council at a future study session a lot that I learned that I hope to take back to our council and our town. And then with the Energy, Environment, and Natural Resources Committee, which is a committee within the National League of Cities, we passed several policy and resolutions for the year, and our meetings for that committee have wrapped up. And I think that is all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Wilkes.
So I also attended the Women's Forum with Councilmember Barrington, and then we had on September 24th our Parker Recs and Open Space Appreciation Dinner, where we get together with people who volunteer in our town to help guide this council with stuff pertaining to our parks and our recs and our open space. So that was fun just to get to thank them and hang out with them and hear what's coming down for them and what's important. On September 25th, we had the Legend Homecoming Parade, which I also was there with a few others. I'll let them speak for themselves. But that was cool just to toss candy and say hi to everybody and be a part of that tradition. We had the Home Builders Association annual political forum dinner where it wasn't about the local candidates here, but just more on a bigger level, and got to ask our questions and get some answers, which was nice. Had the Parker Senior Center lunch, and it's always so much fun to just go and appreciate with them and celebrate with them and hear their gratitude for being able to have a wonderful senior center here in our town. We had the Douglas County Housing Partnership Board meeting. I'm an alternate on that, so I was more playing catch up, but I know that they've got some amazing things coming down and a lot of discussion about specifically around affordable housing. We had the Downtown Business Alliance Candidate Forum, which was very informational to meet a few of the candidates that are running for town council and our candidates that are running for mayor. So I highly encourage you guys go watch that video so you can learn more about the candidates as well. And then today we had our Youth Congress, which was an amazing collaboration with our youth all along Douglas County with issues that are affecting them. And they get to come and they get to talk to elected officials and they get to talk to school board and they get to just share their ideas. And then we get to see what's really important, what's really going on. A lot of it is wrapped around mental health, but there were some other things as well. So I'm excited to take those ideas and see how we can collaborate with our youth even more. And that's all.
Thank you very much. Councilmember Hefta.
Yes, most of the items were mentioned. We did have the candidate forum I attended, and the budget retreat, and the Metro Housing Coalition dinner, and the homecoming parade, which I enjoyed with my children as well. And again, the fall festival we've had here the past 2 weeks. We listened to folks in Parker when we decided this, and they put on a great job. Our town did a great job on the fall festivals. We had 2 weekends of this, and it ended with a drone show. So I hope everyone enjoyed that. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Myself, not to be duplicative, I will just mention 2 items. The Douglas County Regional Transportation Forum, we had an event where we just come together as municipalities and talk about our regional transportation projects. That was very informative. Also at E470, it's budget prep, much like Councilmember Rivera is saying here in Parker. So I'm going through that at E470. That's one of my assignments. And on the 25th, as chair of E470, I went down to the state capitol to, in front of the TLRC, or Transportation Legislative Review Committee, to present the annual reports to the legislatures. And with that, I will conclude my comments. Thank you. We will move on to the next item, consent agenda. Consent agenda items are considered to be routine and will be enacted by one motion and vote. There will be no separate discussion of consent agenda items unless council votes to remove an item for individual discussion. Ordinances on the consent agenda are for introduction only and will not be removed for discussion. With that, I am happy to entertain a motion or pull an item off.
Mr. Mayor Pro Tem, I move to approve consent agenda items A through F, please.
Thank you very much. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion by Councilmember Rivera, a second by Councilmember Wilkes. Councilmember Hefta, how do you vote?
Yes.
Councilmember Wilkes?
Aye.
Councilmember Dyack is aye. Councilmember Barrington? Councilmember Rivera?
Aye.
So we have a 5-0 vote, unanimous. Thank you very much. All right, next item, resolutions. We have resolution number 24-045, a resolution to appoint members of the Parker Youth Commission and to appoint the vice chair. Ms. Sullivan, please.
All right, just a little coordinating here.
Sure.
Got a big group. All right, good evening, Mayor Pro Tem, Town Council members. I'm pleased to present for you, for your approval, Resolution Number 24-045, a resolution to appoint members and a vice chair to the Youth Commission. Serving in an advisory capacity to the Town Council, the Parker Youth Commission provides a means for youth in the town to learn more about government, participate in the process, and represent the needs of the community's youth. The commission consists of 9 members, serving staggering terms of 2 years. The vice chair will be appointed for a 1-year term, and upon completion of that term, they will assume the role of chair for a 1-year term. The terms for 5 members expired on May 31st, 2024. Candidates completed an extensive application, submitted a letter of recommendation, and were interviewed by the review committee. The committee consisted of Councilmember Rivera, Councilmember Wilkes, and myself. The review committee recommends the town council approve resolution number 24-045, which would accomplish the following. Appoint the 5 following members to the Parker Youth Commission for a 2-year term ending on May 31st, 2026. We have Mark Durden. Mark, just raise your hand. Suhas Gandham, Amara Fentel, Brooke Massey, and Romir Natniel. Additionally, number 2, appoint Suhas Gandham as the Youth Commission Vice Chair for the 1-year term ending May 31st, 2025. And completion of this term, he'll take on the role of the chair for the 1-year term ending on May 31st, 2026. In addition, we have our existing members here with us tonight. We've got Izzy, Isabella, Alyssa, and then Bella, and Bella is our chair. So I present to you our new members.
Great. Thank you very much. Are they going to speak, or would you like to have questions?
Oh, if Laura has a chance, they're
Yeah.
going to speak.
Questions, please. Didn't prepare anything.
You know what? You ask, and Councilmember Hefta will deliver. Councilmember Hefta.
So when I was in high school, I would have loved to have been on a youth commission. We didn't have that when I was growing up. I did go on to law school, and I took an early interest in government. And so to our new members being appointed, what is the one thing, if each of you could tell me, just one thing, that you are most excited about learning serving on the Parker Youth Commission?
Do you want me to?
Can I start off? All right. I'm really excited to learn how my town has worked all these years because I've been here my whole life. So it's really exciting to see what goes behind the scenes.
I'm excited to learn the insides of managing a town and also provide a perspective from the youth.
I am most interested in learning about the governments of a town that I have grown to love and cherish over the years.
I'm excited to better understand our community and what it needs to grow and thrive.
Just want to say thank you, because all of you up here in the Parker Youth Commission, you're future leaders, and we're very happy to have you. Thank you.
Want me to answer too? Well, in the Youth Commission, I've already learned a lot about the needs of the youth in Parker and how many people are here that love the town of Parker and want to get more involved. And I'm really excited to keep providing those opportunities for people so that they can show their love for how awesome a town Parker is.
Do the rest of you want to answer the question too, or?
Is this a question about last year too?
Yeah.
Probably similar. I am just excited to continue my role. I'm the Philanthropics Initiatives Manager, and I'm just excited to get to know the community better and help the commission get more involved.
I'm just excited to continue to reach out to our youth and really spread the word of the Parker Youth Commission through our social media pages. So I'm really excited for people to just learn more about what this is about.
I'm really pleased to be in such a professional environment. It's really refreshing to be able to fill in whatever role that I'm assigned, as well as just getting involved in a town, like they said, that I've been growing up in for so long. So being around all these people who take this so seriously is really refreshing to see.
I'm very excited to be chair this year, and I'm really excited to learn more about Parker government and with all of the commissioners just work behind this.
Great. Councilmember Wilkes, any questions?
I was lucky enough to get to interview these kids, so no, I don't have any questions.
Councilmember Barrington?
No questions. Thank you for stepping up, though.
Councilmember Rivera?
No questions. I just want to point out, Amara was reappointed. She is immediate past chair. As Bella said, she is our chair this year. and then Suhas is our vice chair. But Suhas, Brooke, Ramir, and Mark are the new members to the team. What was fascinating was how, I mean, it's just an incredible talent pool. And I just have to state that last year, we had such a great talent pool that we could not put Suhas or Brooke on, but we said, you have to come back next year. And they did, and here they are. So huge congratulations to you guys for coming back. Ramir and Mark, congratulations. It's going to be a great year, and I really look forward to what you guys get done. Thank you.
Was that a question, John?
Not a question.
That's usually me.
Following after Diak.
Yes, thank you. All right, so with that, is there anybody for public comment? Please approach the dais. Seeing none, we'll close public comment, and we'll go to final comments.
Got mine out of the way.
Councilman Rivera, you're
Good.
you're good? You sure? Okay. Councilmember Barrington?
Again, thank you for stepping up. We appreciate you.
Councilmember Wilkes?
To say that I'm impressed is really an understatement. Like, after each one of your interviews, my floor was on the ground, or my jaw was on the ground, because it's just like, you guys are so amazing, and the dedication you're already showing at your age to this, it's wonderful, and you guys are more qualified than me, and I love that. So I'm excited to see what you guys can do this year and next year, and I'm excited to see what you guys bring to our town.
Councilmember Hefton?
I'm so looking forward to what you're going to brief us on next. Congratulations.
All right, yeah. Congratulations to all. If you're running a meeting, don't forget the pledge. I did, okay? So just rule of thumb there. With that, I am happy to entertain a motion.
I move to approve resolution number 24-045 as part of the regular agenda.
Thank you. Can I have a second, please?
A second.
Thank you. We have a motion by Councilmember Wilkes, a second by Councilmember Rivero. Councilmember Hefton?
Aye.
Councilmember Wilkes?
Aye.
Councilmember Diak is a yes. Councilmember Barrington?
Yes.
Councilmember Rivero?
Aye.
We have unanimous 5-0. It passes. Thank you, everyone. Congratulations, and we look forward to future success.
Sherry pictures.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Pictures. Let's do it.
Doing great.
I was so into E470 today. Before I got to this. I didn't get a chance to
I'm wearing heels today, so I can see over them.
Oh, yeah.
Kind of.
Touch, you can touch the dice. There you go.
I'll just scoot right here into John's space.
Taller than I am.
Yeah. Even now?
I'm like, Andy, make sure you can see all this.
Look out.
I think we're all good. That's great. Thank you. I'm going to take a couple here, all right? I'll give you a 1, 2, and 3. One, two, three. And 1, 2, 3.
Yeah, parents, have you come on down?
Come on in, hop on in here. Do you want to be in the picture? Want to take a picture? What do you guys? No.
I don't think they want us. Thank you.
All right. All right, thank you.
Congrats, you guys.
All right, the next section of the agenda is public hearings. The first public hearing is Tract A, Meridian International Business Center, filing number 7C, Fifth Amendment annexation. We have a resolution, number 24-041, a resolution to set forth town council's findings of fact and conclusion as to the eligibility of the town, Tract H, Meridian International Business Center, filing number 7C, Fifth Amendment right-of-way property for annexation into the town of Parker. And number 2, an ordinance number 2.284 on second reading, a bill for an ordinance approving and accomplishing the annexation of contiguous unincorporated territory known as the Town Tract H, Meridian International Business Center, filing number 7, Fifth Amendment, right-of-way property in Douglas County. So we have two motions, but we'll take care of it in one presentation. And with that, Ms. Duncan, please. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm going to open the public hearing at 7:26. My apologies.
Good evening, council members. Before you this evening is Tract H Meridian International Business Center, filing number 7C, Fifth Amendment, annexation. The town of Parker is proposing to annex a tract of land for Chambers Road right-of-way. The subject property is located on the west side of Chambers Road, south of Main Street. On August 19th, 2024, the town council approved resolution number 24-040, determining that the property is in substantial compliance with the state law governing annexation and setting the public hearing for this evening. The town of Parker and Douglas County entered into an intergovernmental agreement in August of 2015 for cost sharing for the Chambers Road improvement project from Main Street to Hess Road. As part of the IGA, the town committed to maintaining and annexing the unincorporated sections of Chamber Road from the intersection at Main Street extending in a southerly direction. The annexation of Chambers Road right-of-way between Main Street and Hess Road was completed in 2019. In 2021, the developer of Stepping Stone constructed a southbound acceleration and deceleration lane for improved access to their project. The developer dedicated the right-of-way for this improvement to Douglas County. At the end of the improvement warranty period, Douglas County executed a deed to convey the right-of-way to the town. The town council approved the acceptance of that right-of-way by resolution on March 11th of this year. The right-of-way that the town accepted has a total area of 1.33 acres and includes the recently constructed improvements along the west side of Chambers Road, south of the Main Street intersection. The proposed annexation is being undertaken to incorporate the additional right-of-way into the town boundaries, reflect property ownership, and clarify responsibility for operations and maintenance. The subject property is eligible for annexation because it is contiguous to the town, located within the municipal planning area, and identified as a candidate for future annexation by the adopted 3-mile plan and Parker 2035 master plan. The town has submitted an annexation petition as required by the municipal code and town charter. A concurrent zoning is not necessary because the property is a town-owned right-of-way. On September 16th, the Town Council approved ordinance number 2.284 on first reading. Tonight's hearing is to consider the eligibility of the subject property described in the annexation petition. The Town Council has the final decision-making authority for the submitted annexation petition because annexation is a legislative act. State law requires the following minimum standards to be met. At least 1/6 of the property perimeter must be touching a current boundary of the municipality. The property cannot be a flagpole. A community of interests between the property and the municipality exists. The municipality is able to extend municipal services to the property. There are no other municipalities which can annex the property. The annexation will not have the effect of extending the municipal boundaries by more than 3 miles. An annexation petition has been properly filed. Staff has reviewed the proposal and has determined that the minimum standards have been met and public notice requirements have been satisfied. Therefore, staff recommends that the Town Council approve the annexation. I'm available for any questions.
Thank you very much. Councilmember Rivera, any questions?
No questions.
Councilmember Barrington, any questions?
No questions, thank you.
Councilmember Wilkes?
No questions, thank you.
Councilmember Hefta?
No questions, thank you.
All right. I'd like to open it up for public comment. If there's anybody who wants to public comment on this item, please come to the dais. Seeing none, I will close public comment at 7:30. And with that, I will turn it back to council for final comments. Councilmember Rivera?
Thank you. Most of this parcel touches 1/6 at least, and it's glad that the town's taking it over and will maintain control of this parcel for beautification reasons and just maintenance reasons. So I find that the property is eligible for annexation because it is located within the town's planning area and is eligible through the findings of the town's 3-mile plan. I also believe that the minimum standards have been met that are set by the Colorado state law. Therefore, I am in favor.
Thank you. Councilmember Barrington.
I'm also in favor. Thank you.
All right. Councilmember Wilkes.
I agree. Thank you.
Councilmember Hefta.
This meets the legal requirements under the Colorado Revised Statutes, and there's no significant additional cost to the town. Thank you.
All right, Council. So with that, we have a resolution and ordinance before us. I need two individual motions. We will vote on each individual motion and then move on to the second one.
Mr. Mayor Pro Tem, I move to approve resolution number 24-041, please.
Thank you very much. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. We have a motion by Councilmember Rivero, second by Councilmember Barrington. Councilmember Rivero.
Aye.
Councilmember Barrington.
Yes.
Councilmember Dykes, yes. Councilmember Wilkes.
Aye.
Councilmember Hefta.
Yes.
Thanks. We have a 5-0 unanimous yes. Thank you. Happy to entertain a motion on the ordinance.
Mr. Mayor Pro Tem, I move to approve ordinance number 2.284 on second reading, please.
Thank you very much. May I have a
Second.
We have a motion by Councilmember Rivero, a second by Councilmember Hefta. Councilmember Hefta.
Yes.
Councilmember Wilkes.
Aye.
Councilmember Dyak is a yes. Councilmember Barrington.
Yes.
Councilmember Rivero.
Aye.
Yes. So we have a 5-0 unanimous. Did not close the public comment after public comment, so we'll close the public hearing. It's 7:32. Thank you very much. The next item is also a public hearing. I will open the public hearing at 7:32. Looking Glass Segment 2B, sketch and preliminary plans. Ms. Duncan again.
Thank you, council members. Before you is the Looking Glass Segment 2B, sketch and preliminary plan. The applicant, Dreamfinders Homes, is proposing a sketch and preliminary plan for 907 single-family lots, open space, parks, and an elementary school site. The site is located southwest of the future intersection of Chambers Road and Stroh Road. The site is currently undeveloped and is directly adjacent to Looking Glass Segment 2A to the east, the Anthology North property to the north, Reuter Hess Reservoir to the west, and large acreage parcels in the county to the west and south. Segment 2B, which is in neon green in the far left of your screen, comprises 436 acres. The sketch and preliminary plans request approval of 907 residential lots, 54 tracts to be reserved for open space, parks, drainage, and a school site. There is 99.66 acres of open space and approximately 44.05 acres of parks. The approval of the sketch and preliminary plans does not formally create the lots or associated improvements. Instead, the approval of the applications will allow for the applicant to execute final plats consistent with the sketch and preliminary plans. The final plats will create the lots and associated improvements. The maximum dwelling units proposed are consistent with those allowed under the Hess Ranch plan development. The PD allows for variations in density, but in no event is the total number of residential dwelling units to exceed 3,379. As you can see on this chart, Trails has a total of 890 units. Segment 1 has 694, Segment 2A 888, and Segment 2B proposes 907. Heights, density, and setbacks for the proposed housing product are required to be consistent with the town's design standards and the PD guide and will be reviewed during the final plat and residential design minimum review process. Again, the project proposes 907 lots consistent with the zoning and density requirements of the PD. In response to a request from Douglas County Schools, the applicant previously requested and was approved for a zoning amendment to the Hess Ranch PD to relocate the elementary school site in 2022. Due to concerns expressed by the Douglas County School District regarding the suitability for development of the original location for the school site, the applicants agreed to pursue a PD amendment to change the school location to a more desirable and developable site. The school site was relocated further west to Planning Area 31, replacing the previously approved school site and shown in blue on the screen. The new proposed location and shown in the preliminary plan increases the minimum required acreage of the PD from 11.38 acres to 11.95 acres. The PD requires a total of 39 acres of parks, and the applicant is providing approximately 44 acres. There are 2 large community parks in green above, one totaling 15.02 acres and the other 25.66 acres, and both are amenitized to the town standards. 3 additional neighborhood parks totaling 3.36 acres are also provided. Segment 2B is required to dedicate a minimum of 95.6 acres of open space, and 99.66 is being provided. However, there's an additional 79.4 acres of landscape tracts which are also being provided, and those are shown in blue on the screen. Open space dedications exceed the total required in the annexation agreement. Additionally, the western open space buffer ranges from its narrowest point of 140 feet to over 1,077 feet at its widest. Staff has reviewed the proposal and has determined that the project is consistent with the master plan. The proposal provides adequate access, infrastructure, drainage facilities, and design considerations. Utility providers have confirmed capacity and availability. All referral agency comments have been addressed or will be addressed at the time of final plat, and the public notice requirements have been satisfied. On September 12th, 2024, the Planning Commission recommended approval. Therefore, both staff and the Planning Commission recommend Town Council approve the Looking Glass Segment 2B sketch and preliminary plan. This concludes my report, and I believe Steve Allen with the Henry Design Group is here to present on the project as well.
Thank you. Mr. Allen, please.
Good evening. I'm Steve Allen, landscape architect with the Henry Design Group, located at 1501 Wazee Street, Denver, Colorado, 80202. Thank you, Julia, and Town of Parker staff for bringing our sketch and preliminary plans to public hearing. Thank you, Town Council, for the opportunity to present Looking Glass Segment 2B sketch and preliminary plans. Next slide, please. Tonight, I will be joined by Matt Childers with Dreamfinders Homes, the developer and home builder for Segment 2B at Looking Glass, as well as Gary Walter, the civil engineer with EMK Consultants. Looking Glass is in the southwest corner of the town of Parker, with primary access from Crowfoot Valley Road and a future connection to South Chambers Road. We have included pictures of Looking Glass Segment 1, as Segment 2B will be an extension of the community vision and theming. This is the development plan for Looking Glass. Segment 1 east of Spirit Trail Boulevard is in the final stages of construction. Segment 2A, shown east of the orange dash line, is under construction and includes residential homes, neighborhood parks, and a community park. Segment 2B, shown west of the orange line, is requesting approval of the sketch and preliminary plans. Next slide. After the final build-out of Looking Glass, residents will have over 11 miles of trails interconnecting the homes with over 80 acres of parks and over 299 acres of dedicated open space. This will include 3 community parks shown in large green circles and 12 neighborhood parks shown in small green circles. Looking Glass Segment 2B consists of 436 acres with vehicular access from Spirit Trail Parkway and Stroh Road. 25-foot minimum landscape buffers will be provided along these rights-of-way. The community will have 907 single-family homes across 40, 50, 60, 70, and 80-foot wide lots with a minimum depth of 110 feet. The community design focuses on preserving natural landscape and enhancing the drainage ways while offering abundant, passive, and active recreation opportunities. To design within the natural landscape features, we did an analysis of the existing conditions to prioritize preservation of the drainage corridors and existing trees. In addition to the site's topography, the layout was guided by the existing easements shown in blue. The plan approved in 2022 also provided parameters for land use locations and allowed housing densities. This provided a framework for the community layout. The preserved open spaces are highlighted with the aerial photography. Additional landscape areas highlighted in green were added to provide buffers, open spaces, and park areas. This is the resulting community plan that preserves the natural drainage ways, Gamble Oak stands that enhanced with an interconnected trail system leading to a variety of neighborhood parks. This is Track T, a 15-acre community park located at the high point and intersection of Oak and Brandy Gulches. The park is adjacent to an 11-acre school site. On and off-street parking and abundant trail connections will provide access to the highly amenitized park. A large shelter will be the central activity hub, surrounded by a sculpted bowl hillside that encompasses a tiered destination playground, climbing spire, fitness loop, shelter with table games, leisurely garden areas, and large play lawns. A baseball field, tennis courts, and frisbee golf will provide organized sports activities. Located in between Segment 2A Community Park and the Western Community Park is Track DDD. The community park site was chosen to preserve some of the best stands of Gamble Oaks while providing extensive recreation opportunities. Located on the south side of the Upper Brandy Gulch, the existing dynamic topography suggested more adventurous activity. These include a downhill bike park, Ninja Warrior obstacle course, zip lines, and a nature-themed destination playground set in an existing Gamble Oak Grove. Organized sports will include basketball courts and a multi-use soccer field. Additional passive activities will include bag toss, shuffleboard, and bocce courts. In addition to the 2 community parks, 3 neighborhood parks will ensure residents have access to open lawns, playgrounds, and picnic shelters within a 5-minute walk of each home. Here are 2 parks with high visibility that will encourage community gatherings and neighbor interactions for families of all ages. Each park will incorporate unique features to create multiple destinations throughout the neighborhood. Located along the southwestern boundary is an exceptional natural area. This neighborhood park will offer a starting point to explore miles of hiking and biking trails set in dense Gamble Oak stands. The playground will utilize nature play themes in a linear progression to blend into the natural environment. Thank you for your time this evening. We kindly request that Town Council approve Looking Glass Segment 2B sketch and preliminary plans.
Thank you, Mr. Allen.
Thank you.
Councilmember Heft, any questions on both proposals?
Can you just touch on a little bit more relocation of the elementary school and what your thought process was on that and how you worked with the school district?
Yes, that was a request from the school district to provide a more suitable site for the elementary school. The original plan development had it in that central community park that we located, and there's, as mentioned, some steep topography in that area, so there was a flatter portion on the western side of the property, and that was the relocated site.
Councilmember Wilkes?
Actually, can you pull up that map for me of where the school's planned? Maybe.
This is where it was originally planned, which is where the park has been moved to. And then on the PD, if you see where the blue is, that's the new location.
Give me a second. Okay.
So
And I can go to the PD map if that's more helpful. Do you have the PD map in here?
yep, in the back it shows the before and after. It's
No, I'm
after
more,
the
yeah,
end of the
I'm not worried about
presentation.
where it was
Okay.
before.
Yep.
Where it is proposed now, how close is that to adjoining neighbors? Like, where's the property line at compared to where the school would be? Is it up against where this plot would end?
The-
It's 300 foot away.
Okay.
Mayor Pro Tem, council members, Matt Chillers with Dreamfinders. Thanks for having us. Just to clarify, so that school site was moved with the PD Fourth Amendment. I want to say that was December of 2022. So that's not something that we're proposing today. That was a discussion that frankly predated Dreamfinder's involvement in the project, that when we came to get this initial plan discussed, that they more or less demanded we moved. We worked iteratively with staff and everybody else to move that located site, but as Mr. Kite, who's one of those adjoining neighbors, mentioned, I believe it's about 300 feet. You can see on the screen, everything west of the blue, there's a big green tract. Where the green stops is our western property boundary, so it's about 300 feet from the west edge of the school site to the actual property boundary.
Okay, and you'll have to forgive me because December of '22, I had been on council a whole like 2 weeks. So
No problem.
remembering that far back isn't gonna work well for me. Okay, I might have questions circling back, but for now, that's
Okay.
good.
Councilmember Barrington?
Just a question. How long has this project been in the works?
Matt Jenke and Chris Elliott behind me could probably be better answerers of that question, but I want to say this master plan has been in the works for 30, 35 years.
Yeah.
1984 is when the original zoning was adopted and this property was annexed into the town.
40 years.
Yeah, so this didn't happen overnight.
Correct.
Thank you.
It's been a long process. Thank you.
All right, Councilmember Rivera.
Thank you. So just for clarity, you have a allowance of 907 units and you're building 907 units, right? So within your buildable allowance.
Yes, sir.
And then your parks, you are required to build X, you're building Y, greater than your requirement?
Yes.
And then even greater so, your open space is almost double of what you're required to do for open space, correct?
It's greater than the requirement. The way you define it is a little bit up for interpretation.
A little bit, yeah,
Yes.
okay, absolutely.
I like your
Understood.
answer, though.
Okay. And then for the landscape architect, if you could, have you personally ever worked on such a great project for a landscape architect before?
No, this has been a fantastic project, just the scale of, the landscape, the existing Gamble oak trees, opportunities for parks, and it's really been a pleasure to watch the first segment come together, see families playing in the parks, and yeah.
And so
it's been
that
great.
leads, I guess, to the almost the last question. So with the first couple segments in process or even done, this will mirror that in the quality of what you've produced there will come west, correct?
Yes, I would say a higher standard just due to the two community parks.
Okay. Absolutely. And then I noticed the word equestrian on some of the trails. Do you plan to have soft surface equestrian on some of your trails?
I typically see hikers and mountain bikers these days, but
You're in Parker, sir.
Welcome to Parker.
yes, okay.
Thank you.
All right, Councilmember Wilkes, any additional
No,
questions?
I'm sorry, Mr. Childers.
Yeah, I just want to add to that. So I'm very, very proud of this portion of the master plan. It's the remaining piece of the Looking Glass master plan specifically. Segment 1 and 2A both featured attached units. Not that that's a pro or a con necessarily. This has always been a more suburban portion of the Parker community. And I'm really proud with how we got to where we got on the site plan. Steve can attest, we probably went through 30 or 40 different renditions of the site plan before I was satisfied. We got there with entirely detached units. I think a tremendous percentage of those units front open space. I think they all do have close proximity to pocket parks. And again, the whole master plan is going to feature 3 key community or town parks, I suppose, and 2 of those 3 are in this portion of the master plan. So I'm really excited to see this portion of the property develop.
And thank you. That brought up one more thing. So did I hear you state that there are 80-foot or 90-foot wide lots? So 90 by 110s?
I'll defer to Steve on the exact dimensions. I believe our largest lots by standard lot size are 80s. So
Okay.
the southwest portion of the master plan is going to feature an estate section of 70s and 80s. Again, another thing I was very proud of. I was hoping we would be able to feature that and still hit our density cap, and we were able to. So we've got about 70 to 80 units in that portion of the site plan. In the southwest, hoping to maximize views and things of that nature. They're going to be pretty special.
I believe that's notable because today's we see huge homes on tiny lots. So I did definitely caught my attention. So very notable. Thank you.
Thank you.
My apologies for prematurely going to Councilmember Wilkes, Mr. Childers, but Councilmember Wilkes?
You're fine. I'm actually going to defer right this minute.
Okay. With that, I'd like to open it up.
Councilmember Hefta does.
Oh, Councilmember Hefta, please.
So were you able to address any concerns from neighboring or adjacent residents in the area as well? And how did you resolve that?
Yeah, I believe there's some commentary at Planning Commission, actually, most specifically from Mr. Kite, who is here tonight, and I would imagine he'll get an opportunity to speak. I actually think we more or less came to terms before council tonight. The most specific thing is we have a trail in that open space on the western portion of our property. There's an existing barbed wire fence on that portion of the property that's not in the greatest of shape, and he was requesting that we would basically reinstall that with new fence. It's a cost I'm willing to accept. I think it's prudent to make sure that our customers have clear delineation on what is and what is not looking glass. It's something that they would be grateful for. So certainly willing to commit to that in whatever formal capacity I would need to tonight is basically just a standard T-post barbed wire fence on that western boundary. There's other things I discussed tonight with them that I promised I would take under advisement, not things that I would be able to fully commit to today. But yes, I believe we've had productive discussions and we'll continue to do so.
Thank you.
Of course.
All right. Any additional questions, council? Seeing none, we'll open it up to public comment. If you'd like to have public comment on this item, please come before us. Name and address for the record, please.
Thank you very much. Peter Kite, 7407 Lemon Gulch Way. I apologise for not knowing the protocols and addressing you. It's not normal that I come to these meetings. So you can probably tell from my accent, I'm not an original resident of Colorado, but I got here as fast as I could, been here about 20 years. I live in Castle Park Ranch, which is a community to the west of this property. And, development happens, I recognize that. I will say that the nature of the suburb coming right up to our property is totally out of character with where we live. I am on one of the smaller lots. I'm on about 30 acres. We are rural with livestock, ranging from steer to goats to bison. And the property line comes extremely close. As Mr. Cholder said, we had a very productive conversation today about some of the mitigations, which I definitely appreciate, both for this community benefit and our benefit. Now, some of the concerns we have is we regularly exercise our Second Amendment rights on our property, which is extremely close to the site of an elementary school. So I think anything that can be done to let's just put it this way, so parents don't have concerns about hearing gunshots close to the school will be a good thing. Also, we're very concerned about trespassing near our livestock. In a fence-out state, we have our own fences, but livestock do escape, and it's not a big drama. It's just an email neighborhood. Oh, the cows are out. We got them. Come get them at your leisure. But I'm pretty sure nobody wants bison stampeding through an elementary school or a park or homes, and those require a little more substantial fencing. So those were really the things. I appreciate Mr. Childers putting on the record that we're having conversations around how to mitigate our concerns, and I think helping his neighborhood next to a fairly high-speed, straight private road. We are not county maintained in the neighborhood. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Is there anybody else who would like to have public comment at this time? Seeing none, we will close public comment and close the public hearing at 7:54 and bring it back to council for final question or final comments or deliberation. Councilmember Hefta.
In reviewing all the documents related to this sketch plan, just to note a few things. The school was relocated upon request, so thank you for doing that. The open space for parks was met or exceeded. The amenities seem outstanding to me, including the basketball court, so wonderful job on that. And it appears to me that all the criteria have been met, which are 5 criteria consistency with the master plan, consistency with the land development ordinance and other minimum standards established by the town, consistency with zone districts or plan development guide, previous plans, and all the public notice requirements. And I would also like to note that I appreciate the developer working with the resident that abuts up to the development to resolve these issues in a most professional way. Thank you.
Councilmember Wilkes.
Yeah, so I wanted to hear from the residents before I asked some final questions. So for me, I love everything about it, and to mimic what Councilmember Hefta said, my only concern is, as a mom of 4, I know how curious my kids are with touching really cool animals that might be coming up to it. So I do have that kind of same concern, and as a mom with kids in school, hearing gunshots, as much as we love going to the range too, would be concerning next to school. So I do want to just put out there, I understand you guys are talking about that, and that's fantastic, but any ways that we can help reduce the number of people that come in front of us and complain about that stuff ahead of time would be greatly appreciated, and I'm sure that the residents would appreciate that as well. So that was my main thing. I just want to make sure that with a school so close to awesome wildlife and a legal shooting range that we've addressed that and can mitigate that concern. So thank you for that.
Thank you. Councilmember Barrington.
So this is obviously a very significant project, and it's been in the works for a very long time. And just the infrastructure that needed to go in before this development could even happen, and the fact that Chambers Road is nearing completion. I'm not sure how far we are out, but that wouldn't even be happening without these developers. So we really appreciate you speeding that along, because with 907 homes comes a lot of cars. So, but I mean, this is really going to impact our community, and I think in a good way. 3 community parks, open space, a school, and I know that there's been a lot of thoughtful planning that has gone into this, and we appreciate that. And I know that there's still more planning that needs to go into it. It's not a done deal, and I appreciate you talking to the neighbors. But I believe that this aligns with our long-term goals, and it's responsible growth, despite what some people are going to think. This has been going on for a long time. We did not just rubber stamp this through. And I'm sure we'll be hearing some of that. But 1984, I know I wasn't here in 1984. I don't know how many people in this audience were here in 1984. Brandy, you weren't born yet.
Yes, I was. I was a year old. I was 1.
So thank you for all your, again, thoughtful work and time, and I know that so much has gone into this, and I support this. So thank you.
Councilmember Rivera.
Thank you very much. First off, I appreciate the gentleman, the neighbor in Lemon Gulch speaking. Such is the nature of Parker. My neighborhood abuts large acre property. I have 30 head of Angus, I think, that touch my house, which is great. I love it. And my wife loves it, and we can look out and watch them calf and pretend that we're still country folk. So, I mean, that is the nature. The gentleman also, on 17 acres adjacent to that, still exercises his Second Amendment right, and not very close to a high school. So, I mean, that is the nature of Parker, and that is why we live here. I believe this matches that nature. As was stated by Councilwoman Hefta, this matches the 5 criteria. Specifically for me, 1, the master plan. Obviously, it definitely aligns with the master plan and exceeds the master plan, in my opinion. The LDO, again, you met your numbers, very well done. And then the biggest one, and I think that this is the one that Councilmember Barrington was talking to, the previous plans. This has been going on for 40 years. This has been going on for the 12 years that I've sat up here. It's gone from different owners to, thankfully, some folks that really want to see it get done, and this is definitely honoring the previous plans. I'm in favor of the site plan and tonight.
Aren't you going to talk about the type of development?
I can't talk all about dendritic, but I think that the landscape architect did an excellent job pointing out the two
Had to throw
gulches
that.
converging, saving the trees,
Yeah.
saving the citizens of Parker money and concrete down their way. So well done.
There you go. All right. With that, I am happy to entertain a motion.
Oh, sorry, I went to sleep. I move to approve Looking Grass Segment 2B sketch and preliminary plan based on staff findings.
Thank you. May I have a second?
I'll second.
All right. A motion by Councilmember Rivera, a second by Councilmember Barrington. Councilmember Rivera.
Aye.
Councilmember Barrington.
Yes.
Councilmember Diaks, yes. Councilmember Wilkes.
Aye.
Councilmember Hefta.
Yes.
So we have a 5-0 unanimous yes vote. Thank you very much. Everyone, I appreciate it. The next item is Anthology North. Under Anthology North, we have 2 items. Ordinance number 3.308.4, second reading, a bill for an ordinance to amend the Anthology North Development Plan Amendment Number 5 pursuant to the Town of Parker Land Development Ordinance and the amending zoning ordinance and map to conform therewith. And number 2, Anthology North Segment 1B and 1C Preliminary Plan Amendment Number 1. Ms. Nerger.
Thank you. Good evening, Mayor Pro Tem and council members. So before you tonight is the Anthology North PD Amendment Number 6 and the Anthology North Segment 1B and 1C Preliminary Plan Amendment Number 1. So the subject property is generally located on the south side of Hess Road between Chambers Road and Motzenbacher Road. The subject property has a long history within the town of Parker. A portion of the property was annexed into the town of Parker in 1984, with the remainder being annexed.
Mayor Pro Tem, if you can open the public hearing.
Open the public hearing 8:01. My apologies.
So portion was annexed in 1984, with the remainder being annexed in 2003. In 2015, after years of litigation, the Anthology North Plan Development was created, separating the larger portion into 2 plan development zoned areas. So the applicant, which is the PCS Group, is requesting approval of 2 requests. The first request is a plan development amendment, which would allow for the transfer of 26 residential units from Planning Area 46 to Planning Area 44. So those are highlighted in red on this map, with Planning Area 46 being located on the eastern side and Planning Area 44 at the intersection of Stroh and Chambers. This transfer of units will result in a new increase of approximately 11% within Planning Area 44. So it's going from 234 units to 260 units. The proposed PD amendment does not change the number of residential units permitted in the entire PD. In addition, due to the layout of the roadway network and drainage for the development, the applicant is proposing a reduction in the size of the elementary school site, which is Planning Area 39, from 12.96 acres to 12.1 acres. The 12.1 acres still satisfies the requirements of the school land dedication outlined within the annexation agreement, and the school district has agreed to this sized lot with a request for additional lot preparation from the developer. So the second request is a preliminary plan amendment. The Anthology North Segment 1B and 1C preliminary plan was approved by Town Council on March 7, 2022. The purpose of the proposed preliminary plan amendment is to align with the proposed PD amendment and accounts for the moving of the 26 residential lots from Planning Area 46 to Planning Area 44. The lot sizes proposed meet the requirements outlined within the PD. The total amount of parks and open space remain unchanged and will meet the minimum requirements outlined within the PD and the annexation agreement. Access and circulation throughout the development will remain unchanged from what was approved with the original preliminary plan. So staff has reviewed both proposals and has determined that the 9 criteria for a rezoning have been satisfied. Both proposals are consistent with the town master plan. All referral agency comments have been addressed. All notice requirements have been satisfied, and the Planning Commission heard this request on September 12, 2024, and recommended unanimous approval of both. Therefore, staff and the Planning Commission recommend Town Council approve the Anthology North PD Amendment Number 6 and the Anthology North Segment 1B and 1C Preliminary Plan Amendment Number 1. This concludes staff's presentation. The applicant is here tonight and does have a presentation for you as well.
Thank you very much. Applicant, please. Name and address for the record.
Chris Elliott, applicant, 7353 South Alton Way, Centennial, 80112. I'm happy to be here. We have a very, very simple request. We're making some adjustments in two of the planning areas, predominantly to address some adjustments within the market. We're able to come back and not to be outdone by the folks to the south of us. We are adding some larger lots and doing some consolidation of some townhome areas, and that's really what we're doing with the two requests. Otherwise, it's the same plan. Williams Parkway still goes through the site and is on its way to being completed here in a matter of a few weeks. So we're excited to be here. We're excited with the community, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
I'm sorry.
I was like, what?
My apologies, Mr. Elliott, for Councilmember Rivero's outburst there.
I know, it's frivolity up there.
All right, Councilmember Hefta, do you have any questions for both presentations?
Yeah, just if you would, Mr. Elliott, the type of living arrangements offered in this community are, again, could you go over that?
Sure. There's a wide range of housing types. They range from a townhome to duplex, both duplex that can be accessed from the front or from alleys. And then we have a series of different single-family detached sizes and styles of homes that range from smaller lots to larger lots.
Thank you.
Sure. Councilmember Wilkes?
No questions, thank you.
Councilmember Barrington?
No questions, thank you.
Councilmember Rivera?
I also have no questions.
All right, thank you very much. With no further questions, happy to open it up for public comment. If there's anybody who has public comment, please approach at this time. Seeing no one, I will close public comment and close the public hearing at 8:07 and bring it back to council for final comments or deliberation. Councilmember Rivera.
Thank you. I understand that the numbers are staying the same. We're just swapping for a better product, better workability. Obviously, staff has reviewed and finds it within your purview. You, obviously, representing the market, find it within your purview. So I am definitely in favor of that. And for that reason, the criteria for rezoning are 9. I feel it meets all 9 of those criteria. And then the criteria for a preliminary plan amendment are the 5 we discussed earlier. I find it's in agreement with the master plan, the LDO, and then I also find that it's also obviously in agreement with previous plans. So thank you very much. I'm in favor.
Councilmember Barrington.
I also agree with Councilmember Rivero and that it meets all 9 criteria, and I am in favor. Thank you.
Councilmember Wilkes.
I agree with my fellow council members, thank you.
Councilmember Hefta.
Yes, it meets all the legal criteria. And again, this is the type of development that has been going on for some time. This is not something that just happened yesterday or the day before. This is sometimes 20 years in the making to get this type of development before the town. And that's not something the public readily understands. We plan out for 25, 30, 40, 50 years, and so do these developers. And they work very hard to get these matters before the town, and they have to go through numerous revisions to get something done, and also work with many entities. And so I want to thank Mr. Elliott for working with the school system to come to a good decision on this for the school and for your development, sir. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Again, I have 2 items before us. I'm happy to take a motion on the ordinance at this time.
Mr. Mayor Pro Tem, I move to approve ordinance number 3.308.4 on second reading, please.
Thank you. May I have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. We have a motion by Councilmember Rivera, second by Councilmember Barrington. Councilmember Rivera.
Aye.
Councilmember Barrington.
Yes.
Councilmember Diak is a yes. Councilmember Wilkes.
Aye.
Councilmember Hefton.
Yes.
So we have a 5-0 yes vote. Thank you very much. Happy to entertain a motion on the preliminary plan amendment.
I move to approve the Anthology North Segment 1B and 1C Preliminary Plan Amendment Number 1 based on staff findings.
Second.
Thank you. We have a motion by Councilmember Barrington, second by Councilmember Hefta. Councilmember Hefta?
Yes.
Councilmember Wilkes?
Aye.
Councilmember Dyak is a yes. Councilmember Barrington?
Yes.
Councilmember Rivera?
Aye.
So it's a 5-0 yes vote. Thank you very much. With that, the next section of our agenda is contracts over $500,000. Lincoln Avenue Widening Project, Core Electric Relocation Phase 1. Mr. Burke. Mr. Burke, can you put your mic on? I don't think it's on. Thank you.
There we go. Thanks. Sorry about that. So this will be the first of 2 contracts with Core for relocation of their facilities along Lincoln Avenue to accommodate the Lincoln Avenue widening project. Quick background on the project. The roadway project will widen Lincoln Avenue from Keystone Boulevard to Parker Road, from a 4-lane section to a 6-lane section, and it will provide additional improvements to include adding multiple dedicated right turn lanes at select intersections, improving sidewalks and curb ramps along the corridor, and improving drainage infrastructure and water quality facilities within the project area. So within that project area, we do currently have existing Core electric cooperative infrastructure that is underground, that is located within the project limits, and that infrastructure must be relocated to accommodate construction of the roadway project. We have been working with Core since I started on the project, and even before starting the initial discussions with them. They've been involved as we've progressed the design along to identify what facilities could remain in place and what facilities would need to be relocated. So tonight, this contract is for Phase 1, which is from Keystone Boulevard to Newland Gulch. At a following council meeting, I will present Phase 2, which will pick up from Newland Gulch and continue that relocation effort to Parker Road. You can see on the map, the majority of this relocation effort is along the north side of Lincoln Avenue. This first contract, all of their facilities were within Core-owned easements, and according to our franchise agreement with Core, the town is responsible for paying those relocation costs when they're required to relocate for a town project. So the next 2 slides are just showing it's just showing their design of what's being relocated, where it's at. These are all new underground lines that'll be bored, which is why that expense is so high. So we start at Keystone, we continue on to Newland Gulch, and like I said, Phase 2 will pick up from the west side of Newland Gulch and continue on. So Phase 1, this contract is for $1,058,043. That work is from Keystone to Newland Gulch. Phase 2, which you will see at a later date, will be $1,114,270. I will note that the Phase 2 work does include some costs that will be responsibility of Core. That entire project's about $2.5 million, so they've got a little over $1 million that they've got to come up with for that Phase 2 work. So some of this work will occur concurrently with the roadway project. We do have some sections that we need to have Core out ahead of construction so they can get relocated, specifically around the bridges and a couple other areas where the contractor will be working. So that's why this contract is coming ahead of us advertising and bidding the roadway project. Core will be utilizing one of their contractors to complete the work, and they've estimated the length of relocation would be 4 to 6 months. And with that, staff recommends approval of the contract.
All right, thank you very much, Mr. Burke. Questions, council? Councilmember Hefta.
Yeah, I didn't see the legal citation in there about the state law And, but I suppose CORE explained that to you when you were working with them, right? How that's their duty to comply with state law on this matter?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Councilmember Wilks.
No questions, thank you.
Councilmember Barrington.
So the town's responsible for the relocation costs just because you said the franchise agreement existed prior to, can you talk a little bit?
So the town has a franchise agreement with CORE. In that franchise agreement, it's stated that if CORE is required to relocate their facilities due to a town project, if it's within an easement that CORE owns, that cost is on the town. If it's within town right-of-way or within an easement that the town owns, it's CORE's responsibility to relocate. So in this case, from Keystone to Newland Gulch, those are all, they're within easements that CORE had secured separate of the town. So since we're requiring them to move from their current location in their easement, we have to pay them to move.
So, and how will, so what are the disruptions to the residents going to look like during this project?
I don't know that I have a direct answer on that one. I mean, CORE will obviously keep power on while they're doing the relocations. It's something that they deal with every day. It's not really my expertise. But they will provide power to their customers during the relocation.
Okay, thank you.
Councilmember Rivera.
Thank you. Is it safe to say there's redundancy in the grid, and the grid will be able to,
Yes.
and it should just be a one switch? They'll lay the copper and then come in and make that one switch over, and there
Yes.
should be not even notice. I had a question, and now I forgot what it was. So, see, there I go for rambling. Sorry.
All right. No other questions? You got it, Josh?
Yeah, I'm good.
Okay. Open it up to public comment at this point in time. If you'd like to have public comment on this item, please approach. Seeing none, we'll close public comment at 8:18 and bring it back to council for final comments and or deliberation. Councilmember Hefton.
Thank you for your hard work.
Councilmember Wilks.
No comments, thank you.
Councilmember Barrington.
Josh remembered his question.
It's too late. No.
Can you?
Form it in a comment?
Make that in the form of a comment, yeah.
Can you deliberate that question? Okay, Josh? it's yours.
So 4 to 6 months, but we're getting into the frozen months. Are we anticipating those cold months where they might not be able to drill in the frost and whatnot?
Yeah, their estimate that they gave was 4 to 6. Some of that, you might see it on the longer side because we are getting close to the end of construction season here. I'm pretty confident they'll be done within 6 total, though, for this segment. The second segment will be longer. It's quite a bit more work. But from Keystone to Newland, I'm pretty confident they would finish that in 6 months from the time they get the go-ahead.
Thank you. That concludes my comments.
All right. With the conclusion of comments and a question, happy to entertain a motion.
I move to approve staff recommendation as part of the regular agenda.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. Motion by Councilmember Rivera, second by Councilmember Hefta. Councilmember Hefta.
Yes.
Councilmember Wilks.
Aye.
Councilmember Dykes, yes. Councilmember Barrington.
Yes.
Councilmember Rivera.
Aye.
5-0 unanimous, yes. Thank you very much. Next section of our agenda is ordinances. We have the first ordinance, ordinance number 1.627, second reading, a bill for an ordinance to approve the memorandum of understanding by and between the town of Parker and Radiant Circle Apartment Investors, LLC, concerning the Parker Road sidewalk trail improvements south of Parker Square Drive. Mr. Gill.
Good evening, Mayor, Pro Tem, and Council. The ordinance before you tonight is a continuation of the Parker Road East Side Sidewalk Project acquisitions. So after tonight, only one more will remain for a total of 7. Wrong way. Okay, as a vicinity map shows, the sidewalk project limits are from Sulphur Gulch down to just south of Parker Square Drive. In July 2023, Town Council approved an ordinance authorizing staff to proceed with good faith negotiations for easements necessary to construct the project. The ordinance being presented tonight is for Radiant Circle Apartments investors, parcel number 1. The cost for the easement acquisition is $53,166. This ordinance is required to approve the memorandum of agreement. Here is a map of the Radiant Circle Apartments, which is just south of the old Village Inn. We need 6,700 square feet of permanent easement at this location. Oops, I went backwards again. So in conclusion, staff recommends Town Council approve ordinance 1.627 on second reading. Any questions?
Thank you very much, Mr. Gill. Councilmember Wilks.
No questions, thank you.
Councilmember Hefton.
Yes, Mr. Gill, can you talk a little bit about how the project is funded?
How it's, excuse me?
Funded.
Funded. It's 20% town and 80% state reinforcement.
Is that through a grant?
Reimbursement, sorry.
Is that through a grant from the state?
Streets. Chris, what's that called? Streets?
Safer Main Street.
Safer Main Streets.
He snuck out. Street, Tom, what was that called?
Safer Main Streets.
Safer Main
Safer,
Street.
yeah, that's what it's called. Yeah, Safer Main Street, sorry. Been a while since I thought about it, a couple of years.
And also just touch a little bit more upon why you think this is definitely needed.
Well, to make it safer to walk along Parker Road. Right now, neither side has a sidewalk through that area.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Councilmember Barrington.
So that grant was awarded in 2021, it looks like. That's a question. Yep. You don't have to answer that. Never mind. Thank you.
All right. Councilmember Rivera.
No questions.
All right. With no further questions yet, open it up to public comment. Anybody with public comment on this item, please approach. Seeing none, we'll close public comment at 8:23. Bring it back to council for final thoughts, comments, deliberation. Councilmember Wilks.
No, I love that, this is something that's been in the works for a little while, and you guys are able to bring it forward, and we do need more safety on main streets and stuff like that, so I appreciate the work. Thank you.
All right, it's come along quite nicely. They just put the pedestrian bridge in, and so we got a completion date of April next year, but I think we'll get finished quite a bit ahead of that, so hopefully.
It's wonderful.
Councilmember Hefton.
Well, I appreciate that Parker is so walkable and you can ride your bike as well, as my car broke down several times yesterday from a dead battery. I was thinking about riding my bike or walking to the gym. But that's one of the beautiful things that we have in this town, that we're improving the sidewalks and people can walk. So thank you for investing in this project with the Public Works and Engineering and finding the grant to complete this project.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Councilmember Barrington.
Yeah, it's important. It fills a gap in our current sidewalk system, and it just makes it easier, it makes it safer, and more accessible. It's going to reduce the risk of accidents, and it looks great. Everything is turning out really, really nicely, and just it's pretty. Fits in with the look of the town, and I appreciate all your hard work on this. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Councilmember Rivera.
Yeah, I agree with previous council comments, and well done. Keep up the good work, sir.
Yeah, thank you.
All right. With no further comments, happy to entertain a motion on this item.
I move to approve ordinance number 1.627 on second reading, please.
Thank you. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Motion by Councilmember Rivero, second by Councilmember Barrington. Councilmember Wilkes?
Aye.
Councilmember Hefton?
Yes.
Councilmember Diak, yes. Councilmember Barrington?
Yes.
Councilmember Rivera?
Yes. Aye.
We have a 5-0 unanimous yes. Thank you, everyone. The next item, ordinance number 9.334.3, second reading, a bill for an ordinance approving the Third Amendment to Agreement regarding design and construction of drainage and flood control improvements for Cherry Creek at Dronsfeld Road, agreement number 21-05.04C, project number 108515, by and between Urban Drainage and Flood Control District, DBA, Mile High Flood District, the Town of Parker, and Cherry Creek Basin Water Quality Authority. Mr. Grabcheck.
Actually, Mr. Mayor Pro Tem, something for council. As you can see, one of the partners in this agreement is the Cherry Creek Basin Water Quality Authority, of which I chair. I did sit in and actually hold the gavel on this discussion and thus voted for the Cherry Creek Basin Water Quality Authority. It is my opinion that I should not vote for both organizations. So with that, I would recuse myself or ask you to.
It's up to council whether or not there's a conflict. We need a quorum. We have 4 without your vote, so council can discuss it. If they feel that there's a concern, they can ask you questions based on your vote as well.
All right, Councilmember Barrington, Councilmember Rivera is asking to be recused. Your opinions, your thoughts?
I don't think it's necessary, but how does the rest of council feel?
All right, Councilmember Wilkes?
I mean, I see where you're coming from. If you're sitting on that board and you're voting on that, and now you're sitting on this one and voting for it, I can see that there could be a perceived conflict in the court of public opinion. So I'm fine with you recusing yourself.
Councilmember Hefton?
Yeah, I always think it's proper in an abundance of caution to state that conflict on the record. And if you want to recuse yourself, I would be fine with that.
Yeah, let me state, I'm actually usually very good at recusing myself at Cherry Creek, so I can uphold my vote here. This project is incredibly important, and I thought it was very important that I was available in the room regarding this project, both as the liaison to Mr. Grabcheck and Mr. Mesta, in case there was questions against Parker's or with Parker's ask. So I stayed in the room up there, so I think it'd be prudent if I stepped out of the room here today.
Okay.
Thank you. And I finally can log back in so I can see everything.
All right, Mr. Grabcheck, please.
Wonderful. All right. Good evening, Mayor Pro Tem and council members. This ordinance is for the approval of an amendment to an intergovernmental agreement, or IGA, for additional funding of the Cherry Creek at Dronsfeld Stream Stabilization Project. This project is currently under construction and located along Cherry Creek, adjacent to the Salisbury Park and Flatacre Farms properties. The channel project is approximately 60% complete and will reach substantial completion by early 2025, timing out with the bridge. Plantings will follow in the spring, and the additional funding provided with this IGA amendment will ensure the project has enough funds for the base plantings, but more important, as a contingency for additional plantings if required during our monitoring period with our permits for the Corps of Engineers and U.S. Fish and Wildlife. The additional funding with this IGA amendment is provided solely by the Mile High Flood District, and as such, there will be no impacts to town budgets with this amendment. And as such, staff recommends approval of ordinance 9.334.3.
Thank you. Councilmember Barrington.
So is this gonna, let's see. Is this going to impact any future road crossings?
No, it's a part of there's 2 projects. There's the Dronsfeld Bridge project, and then there's the Cherry Creek Stabilization project. So the plantings were always within the plan, and we had this funding requested and kind of secured on the Mile High Flood District side at the beginning of the year, but we were waiting to make sure that the amount was appropriate as we got kind of farther along in construction. And so It's not improvements that are different from what was kind of proposed originally. It's just shoring up the funding kind of at the end half, essentially.
Okay, thank you.
Councilmember Wilkes?
So with the stabilization, which I love that, by the way, I know how important it is, and it allows the natural water to be recaptured into our Cherry Creek Reservoir versus all of that. With this, is this actually going to be enough to finish this out with this new IGA, or are we going to see you again here in a little bit?
No, so this should complete everything. We're going to have some contingency along with this. With where we're at on the project, there shouldn't be any more kind of major things that have come up. We've dealt with kind of higher than usual groundwater, some construction timing issues. But other than that, we haven't had any big misses or anything. So yeah, the budget is shaping up pretty well. But it's also one of those things where it's better to have a nice, comfortable budget here at the end and not have to worry about coming back here, next
So
year.
you said this does include a contingency for any price increases that we can't foresee yet?
Yes, yeah.
Okay, perfect. And then just to restate, this isn't affecting the town's budget. This is
Correct. Yeah, we are not contributing any additional money to the project.
perfect. Thank you.
Councilmember Hefton?
I just appreciate you engaging on this with the Mile High Flood District. And also, I see you have in here, this reach is adjacent to both the Parker Recreation Center and Challenger Park. So can you talk about that a little bit? Was there any issues that came up with this matter?
I do. I have another IGA coming up next in that area. Is that the presentation you're looking at?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Thank you.
All right, with no further questions, happy to open it up to public comment. If there's public comment on this item, please approach. Seeing none, I will close public comment at 8:32, bring it back to council. Councilmember Barrington?
I think this project is just important to Parker. It tackles a lot of the serious bank and bed erosion problems along Cherry Creek, and that could lead to flooding and damage to nearby properties. And so stabilizing the creek and kind of adjusting everything, I think it's a key step. So I am in support of this. Thank you.
Councilmember Wilkes?
Yeah, I agree with that, and it's much prettier to look at than walls of concrete to keep the water in Cherry Creek. I think anybody that runs along our trails or enjoys them probably would enjoy looking at these much more than the wall of concrete. So thank you for all your work on this.
Thank you.
Councilmember Hefton?
Yeah, and I see that now. So the town of Parker, the Mile High Flood District, and the Cherry Creek Water Quality Authority all partnered on this, and there's no additional cost to the town.
Yep.
So thank you very much.
Thank you. With no further comments before me, happy to entertain a motion.
I move to approve ordinance number 9.334.3 on second reading.
Is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion by Councilmember Wilkes, a second by Councilmember Hefton. Councilmember Hefton?
Yes.
Councilmember Wilkes?
Aye.
Councilmember Diakse, yes. Councilmember Barrington?
Yes.
Yes. So we have a 4-0 yes unanimous vote. Thank you. The next item is, we need to get Councilmember Rivera.
I was going to say, is
back
he
in.
still, okay. Welcome back.
All right, thank you. Next item, ordinance number 9.339.1, second reading, a bill for the ordinance approving the First Amendment to agreement regarding design and construction of drainage and flood control improvements for Newland Gulch at Recreation Drive, agreement number 21-05.23A, project number 108504, by and between Urban Drainage and Flood Control District, DBA, Mile High Flood District, the town of Parker, and Douglas County. Mr. Grabczyk again.
All right. Thank you again. This ordinance is to approve an IGA amendment between the town, Douglas County, and the Mile High Flood District to fund drainageway improvements along Newland Gulch adjacent to Recreation Drive. This project is located both within the town of Parker and Douglas County, and as such will be a collaborative effort between the two jurisdictions with additional support and funding from the Mile High Flood District. More specifically, the project reaches along Newland Gulch from Lincoln Avenue to a point 1,400 feet downstream, which is essentially just past the Recreation Drive crossing. Although the project corridor is primarily within the Challenger Park, the project reach currently impacts secondary access to the Parker Recreation Center, regional trail access nearby the Challenger Park Estates, which is in the town, and commercial traffic from the crossing at Stonegate Shopping Center. This reach of Newland Gulch, as it is currently, poses several concerns for town facilities and citizens. First, this Texas-style crossing of Newland Gulch is the only such crossing type located within the town on a major drainage way. This type of roadway crossing does not utilize any culverts to convey water under the roadway, and as such, all flows from any rain event go over top the roadway. Due to safety concerns and past incidents of stalled vehicles, town staff manually gates off the roadway whenever flows exceed 7 inches. Additionally, this reach of Newland Gulch has a wide and expansive 100-year floodplain through Challenger Park, which impacts many of the adjacent structures and the accessibility of the immediate area during smaller storm events as well. The adjacent parking lot frequently floods during minor storm events and due to the poor conveyance capacity of this reach. Finally, this reach degrades the water quality of Cherry Creek by directly connecting the roadway to the drainage way. So there are no water quality or detention treatments for that roadway as current. This little graph just shows the frequency and the depth at which the roadway experiences during storm events. So in your 2-year storm event, you're going to have 2.5 feet over the crossing, which is why we close it down at the 7 inches. In the 100-year event, we're at about 5 feet over the crossing. We usually historically we close the crossing about 10 times a year, maybe sometimes a little less, sometimes a little more. So this project seeks to achieve the following goals: to install a culvert crossing at Recreation Drive. It will also provide a sidewalk connection between the Challenger Park and Newland Gulch Trail and the adjacent commercial shopping center. A goal to reduce or eliminate the need for road closures by town staff and to reduce the localized and 100-year flooding. To mitigate areas of standing water and to look for feasible ways to contribute or to treat contributing roadway pollutants and to improve water quality. A preliminary design for this reach was completed by all the project partners in 2022. This was funded by the town and the Mile High Flood District, with the county being a project partner that did not provide funding at that time. This amendment will bring in additional funding from both the Flood District and Douglas County to bring the project through final design and permitting. Contracting for final design will proceed upon approval of the IGA amendment, and the design and permitting will continue throughout all of 2025. A future amendment will be needed to fund the construction of this project. As such, staff recommends approval of ordinance number 9.339.1.
Nice. All right, Councilmember Rivera, any questions?
So design today, and then we'll go out and find someone that wants to do it, and future improvements downstream to the creek after the fact?
Yes, so we could look at doing a future project from the downstream connection all the way to the confluence of Cherry Creek. That'll be slated for quite a few years down the road. There is a lot of fall between the drops once you get past that first drop. So we have a gas line crossing at the first drop, and that's like our pinch point causing all the problems. And then once we get downstream of that, things kind of open up a little bit better.
That's right, I remember the gas line. Okay, thank you.
Councilmember Barrington?
So are the design changes just proposed to kind of address the sediment buildup?
Mm-hmm.
And so it's just going to help with when you do that, you're going to help with drainage?
Yes, and so there's going to be kind of two, I would say, major parts. One of it is a rebuilding of the whole Recreation Drive through that low water crossing and adding in culverts for the water to go underneath the road. Then the other part is everything upstream that between Lincoln and the Recreation Drive crossing, which is filled in with sediment over time and caused a lot of the flooding issues kind of upstream of the crossing.
Okay, thank you.
Councilmember Wilkes?
No questions, thank you.
Councilmember Hefta?
Yes, I see the flooding incident in 2013. Can you recall how many times over the last maybe 25 years that this has occurred besides that one?
I would say the minor flooding within the soccer fields happens on a yearly or bi-yearly basis. It gets in parts of the parking lot, and there are parts that aren't well utilized, so it's kind of on the fringes of the parking lot, so parking stalls are unavailable during these kind of more minor flooding events, but those flooding events happen, yearly to every 2 years. For something like 2013, that's definitely, more of a once a decade kind of deal. I wasn't around here for that one, but that's kind of my general take.
Will that stop some of the flooding on the ball fields, or?
Yeah, it'll reduce a lot of the flooding on the fields, and then as well as the parking lot. It'll reduce the occurrence, the frequency of that. But when we get a 100-year event, it's still going to be within the 100-year floodplain, most likely. It'll be reduced, but there will be areas that are within the 100-year. But instead of every year, every 2 years, you might be looking at more of like every 5 or more years.
Thank you.
With no further questions, happy to open it up to public comment. If anybody has a comment on this item, please approach. Seeing none, we'll close public comment at 8:41 and bring it back to council. Councilmember Barrington.
I always like to ask the question, why should residents care about a project like this? And, it's an investment in our town's infrastructure and quality of life for our residents. And this, when it floods, it affects the usability of these spaces and parking, and so it's really important. And thank you for all your work on this.
Thank you.
Councilmember Rivera.
Thank you. This is obviously an ongoing issue. It was before us in the past, and it's definitely something we need to look at. There's many benefits to this project. The walkability with the new trail connections for the residents is one. Just the stormwater side, though, with these floods, if it's in this picture here, in cold weather, we get freeze-thaw damage to the asphalt, to the infrastructure around it. And eventually, if we don't do anything and there's sediment buildup, we will have a thaw that could touch homes, or a flood that could touch homes. So it's immediate that we need to address this. And if and when we do address it and move that water through there efficiently, we will see some serious improvements, because there's been a lot of damage done in that area. So I'm definitely in favor of this.
Councilmember Wilkes.
Yeah, we've had a dry summer this time, but we remember last year when it was quite the opposite. So I'm excited for this to get done, and thank you for the work on it.
Councilmember Hefta.
Yeah, just to summarize it, frequently the town of Parker engages in intergovernmental agreements with others in the community, such as the Mile High Flood District and also Douglas County. So this was the work of these 3 partners in an intergovernmental agreement to design and permit these improvements. And also it was funded by them as well. Mm-hmm. So this is a win-win for the town of Parker. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm going to miss the Texas-style crossing, but understand the improvements. If you've ever spent any time around there, it's fun to go over that. With that, happy to if there's nothing else, a motion.
Move to approve. I move to approve ordinance number 9.339.1 on second reading, please.
Thank you. Is there a second?
I'll second.
All right, we have a motion by Councilmember Rivera, second by Councilmember Barrington. Councilmember Rivera.
Aye.
Councilmember Barrington.
Yes.
Councilmember Diaksa, yes. Councilmember Wilkes.
Aye.
Councilmember Hefton.
Yes.
We have a 5-0 yes unanimous vote. Thank you. The next item, ordinance number 1.628, second reading, a bill for an ordinance stating the intent of the town of Parker to acquire certain property interests for the purpose of constructing and improving Beckett Drive and Brompton Way through the utilization of the town's power of eminent domain, and directing the town's staff and town attorney to notify all persons affected thereby of the above stated intent of the town, and thereafter to comply with all pertinent provisions of CRS 38.1.101, relating to good faith negotiations. Mr. Maloney.
Nicely done, Mayor Pro Tem.
I'm trying, Jim.
Good evening, council. I'm here tonight on that particular item. The purpose of ordinance 1.628 is to provide notice to the Parker Meadows Condominium Association of the town's intent to acquire right-of-way that's owned by the association, and this is to improve Beckett Drive as shown on the overhead and to construct Brompton Way. Brompton Way currently does not exist, it's actually parking for the adjacent apartment. Currently, Beckett Drive is a private street that provides the only access for 171 residential units. Under the town's public safety standards, residential units should be served by 2 points of access. The fire district has encountered challenges in the past accessing Beckett Drive, including having a truck back up Beckett Drive because there was no place for that vehicle to turn around. The town plans to provide 2 points of access by acquiring Beckett Drive and a strip of land currently being used for parking to connect Beckett Drive to Woodman Drive. This connection is called Brompton Way. Beckett Drive and the land area contained within Brompton Way currently provide parking for residents of the association. In order to maintain this parking for the sole benefit of the residents, the town plans to license this area to the association for private use of parking adjacent to Beckett Drive and Brompton Way. If you look at the map, parking will be allowed on the southern portion of Beckett Drive and at the areas identified in yellow for Brompton Way. There will be no reduction in the current amount of parking for the residents of the association. The improvements to Beckett Drive and Brompton Way include building the existing asphalt pavement, that would be on Beckett Drive, asphalt overlay, curb gutter, and sidewalk improvements, and there'll be some trees removed as a part of this project. The amount that's been budgeted for the project is approximately $1 million. The town has been discussing this project with the association on and off for the past few years, including negotiations for a redevelopment agreement, which may be coming to you in the very near future if this ordinance passes. I would like to invite Rich Conroy up. He's the Deputy Fire Marshal to talk about the access issues with Beckett Drive. I want to thank Deputy Fire Marshal Conroy for coming tonight and patiently waiting for the last item on the agenda.
Thank you for waiting, Deputy Marshal.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, Rich Conroy here on behalf of South Metro Fire Rescue. Yeah, South Metro is certainly in support of this ordinance, opening up a second point of access to these homes and these neighborhoods will be an enhancement to public safety. Our ability to come in from multiple directions, our ability if we lose one of these access points due to something like an accident, and still having another way to get to somebody who might need help back there, all certainly improvements to public safety. And yeah, if you've ever driven in the area, it's certainly tight, especially with larger apparatus trying to get back there, maneuver to a good place to be effective for emergency response, and then trying to get everyone back out in a coordinated fashion and back in service to potentially the next emergency, which always comes. So South Metro is certainly in support of this and thanks council for their consideration.
Thank you.
And then if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them. And I know that Nathan Klaus would love to come up and answer any questions dealing with the actual project improvements. Nathan has been waiting back there patiently all night. I told him I would get even. So any questions, Mayor, Council, Mayor Pro Tem and Council?
All right, let's see. Councilmember Rivero.
You mentioned discussions and or negotiations with the association. What is the overall feeling of the Owners Association with this project?
I think the biggest concern with the association is the parking issue, and we attempted to provide comfort to them by agreeing to license. We've actually negotiated a form of redevelopment agreement, but I don't think the association wants to entertain approval of that agreement unless they understand the town is serious about taking this property as a part of a condemnation action.
So you would say they're in favor, so we can get to the next step. The association would be in favor of us taking this property.
They have signaled that, yes, they are in favor. In fact, as you may recall, they approached us, I don't know, 5 years ago, about actually participating in a project. And then I think initially the town was not interested, but the public safety issues really were apparent after passage of time. And so the town said, yeah, let's go ahead and see if we can take care of this through funding through PAR. And so I think at this point they are very interested. But again, a lot of their membership has concern about the whole parking issue. So hopefully we've addressed that issue for them.
Okay, thank you.
Councilmember Barrington.
So 2 questions. Initially, when they approached the town, this was going to cost them.
They had initially talked about contributing funding towards these improvements. Obviously, it would be a small contribution, but fortunately, we took a look to see the type of funding that we had through the Parker Authority for Reinvestment, and so they had ample funding to go ahead and do this project and do it right.
Okay. And the second question is, so if the way it is currently, if Beckett Drive is blocked due to an accident, fire, any other emergencies, residents and first responders would have no alternative route?
Yeah, that is correct.
That's why they have big bumpers.
Thank you.
Councilmember Wilkes?
Yeah, I mean, the route's through the tree right now. So how many parking spots, because I know that the parking has to get essentially reorganized. How many parking spots are they concerned about losing? Because when I look at the Google Maps and then I'm looking at what you're presenting here, it looks like it's a very minimal amount.
They're not losing any parking. We're going to replace parking space for parking space. I think part of the concern is the convenience of having the parking close. So if you look on Brompton Way, right now that's all parking. That's going to go away and you're just going to have parallel parking.
Gotcha. But the condos that are there, the parking spots are not deeded to the condos, right? They're just open parking?
So, Nathan might be better to answer this question. I'd love to hand this off to him. But
Perfect.
We've actually been on site and identified, at least on the curb, that there are numbers written on the curb. So we're not sure if the association assigns a resident to a parking space, but that parking is for residents.
Yeah, and let me go just a little bit more into my question there. So if it's a deeded parking spot that obviously comes with a legal description and that gets transferred with title. If it's just an assigned spot that they don't actually own, but the HOA assigns it, that's different. I just want some clarification on that.
So it'd be an assignment. The association owns the parking. None of the parking has been deeded to separate unit owners.
You were going to let him answer. You said you wanted him to have questions.
But you kept using the word legal, so I didn't.
I'm sorry.
These guys are engineers.
To add on to Jim's point, if you ask the HOA, they'll say that each spot is deeded, but we pull the title commitment and it's not.
Okay.
The HOA is able to enforce the parking since it's private property currently, but it's not deeded.
So we don't have to worry about
No.
the legal description and retitling all of those?
Nope.
Perfect. Thank you.
Councilmember Hefta?
Don't go anywhere. You never know.
You want to ask him the youth commission question, just to see if he can answer it? Bring that back.
I love my job.
Let's just go back. How long has this request been going on? How many years? Was it a couple of years?
Want me to answer them all now? As Jim stated, about approximately 5 years. So before I started with the town.
And so the homeowners association has been attempting to resolve this issue for about 5 years and then came to the town with their request as well?
So historically, they came to the town first, and they offered, I think, to pay $60,000 towards these improvements, which Nathan can tell you are approaching $1 million. And then council considered it and said, no, we're not ready for this project. In the meantime, we had urban renewal form up. We were collecting property tax increment. And so we had a funding source to pay for a needed improvement. And so ultimately, we reconnected with the association, and I think at this point, we're close to putting together a deal.
Yeah, the association at some point was really willing to put up some money because they recognized the need for this improvement in their community. However, they probably did not understand how much money was needed to make the changes necessary for the safety of the residents. Would that be fair to say?
Well, I think they realized it was going to be expensive, and I think they were providing some seed money to get the participation of the town or get the town's interest in understanding the project and funding the project. I mean, part of the difficulty is that this project has covenants that are recorded against the project, and if the town doesn't go through the takings process, at least the opinion of their legal counsel is that they need unanimous approval of all the members. Now, some of the members are upset because they're losing close-up parking. And so the concern is they're not going to get a unanimous vote, and the only way to make this deal happen is for the town to take the steps towards eminent domain in order to address an exception that's in those covenants that does not require membership approval if it's an eminent domain action.
Yeah, so the bigger picture is the safety for the entire community versus individuals wanting to park in a certain spot in the area, in the community. Maybe they're going to have to walk an extra 50 feet. They're going to have to change what they've been doing for maybe the past, how long has this community been around? 20, 30 years? It's one of the original.
Well, this project was actually developed in the county and subsequently annexed by the town. So everything that was developed out there was according to county standard, which, as you know, is not near what the town standards are today.
That's back in the 80s, was that?
Yeah, late 70s or early 80s, yes.
Right. So the town is now taking some steps to address this, but really does seem like there's some HOA involvement here and even desire to have this happen. Is that?
Oh, absolutely. But again, the barrier is the covenants, which would ordinarily require unanimous membership approval for the sale of common area property, with the exception that if it's an eminent domain action, they don't need to have member consent, the board can approve it.
Thank you. This seems to be a little bit of a difficult conundrum on this matter, but thank you for definitely and expertly doing this, Mr. Maloney, and our engineering department as well.
Thank you. Don't go yet.
Jim, we've done this before with HOAs, I think along Main Street for different reasons. So working with the HOA and not the whole membership, so to speak, isn't uncommon, correct?
That is correct.
Okay. All right. Any additional questions at this time?
Can you, sorry, can you walk me through, because these are the big scary words, condemnation, eminent domain, scary government. Walk me through the process and what those words actually mean, please.
So the first step tonight is to adopt the notice of intent to acquire. If you do approve that ordinance, then we will contact the HOA and let them know that you have passed the ordinance and that you intend to acquire their property. And then we have to, after that point, engage in good faith negotiations as a part of this process. And then ultimately, if we can't negotiate a resolution and the ultimate acquisition, then we come back to council and get authority to actually file an action in district court. The way I expect this to happen is if you approve this tonight, we've actually engaged in good faith negotiations prior to the adoption of this notice of intent to acquire ordinance. So my expectation is that once you approve this, we will give them a copy, the association, a copy of the signed ordinance saying it's been approved. My expectation is at that point, they will take the redevelopment agreement to their board. If they approve it, then it'll come back to you at the next council meeting on October 21st.
Is this something?
If they don't approve it, we may have to, just because of the timing, we may have to look at a November approval date. If at that point they don't approve it, then we'll come back to you and see if you want to take the next step, and that would be to file something with the district court.
And is this something that the legal team usually calls a friendly condemnation?
So far, that's what we're describing this matter.
Thank you.
All All right, additional questions? No. All right, anybody with public comment, please approach. Seeing none, we'll close public comment at 9 o'clock, bring it back to council. Councilmember Rivera.
Thank you. The greater good of the public is the ability for fire to get in two ways. That's why we have it as a ordinance in this community. Our partners at South Metro, which I will state, started as Parker Fire. But no, our partners are adamant in life safety, and they're the best of the best. And they need 2 points of access when we do a community. As was stated earlier by Mr. Maloney, this was originally built in the county and then acquired in annexation through the town, and obviously not built to our standards. And for the safety of this community and the communities near it, 2 points of access is a great need.
Councilmember Barrington.
I think everybody fears the word eminent domain, and but this does not sound like it's gonna. It sounds like it's friendly. They understand that this is necessary. Having only one access point for 171 residential units can be dangerous, limits evacuation and emergency response options. So 2 access points really are going to ensure safer, quicker responses and provide alternative routes if one is compromised. So I am in favor of this.
Councilmember Wilkes.
Yeah, and not just that, I'm looking at the map and I'm like tracing it because I know this area well in my head, and I'm like, man, just to get to that one access point that's there probably causes several minutes delay to get you guys to an emergency situation. So just even regardless of if one shut off, like you were saying, which I agree with, this is also a quicker response time, which can ultimately mean, lives saved and structures saved as well. So I'm definitely in favor of this.
Councilmember Hefta.
And thank you, South Metro Fire. And if you've ever been on the receiving end of having to have a 911 call and seeing the amount of folks that show up to save your life, this could be quite difficult for our fire trucks and our police to maneuver, execute, get out somebody out there and save their life on time. And so this project has been going on for a little while, these negotiations. And I think the explanation Mr. Maloney provided was excellent. It's a complicated case, but it's also driven by the HOA itself. And in this lifetime, we can't satisfy all people all the time. Sometimes we have to look at the big picture. Many times we have to look at the big picture and do what we can do as a town to satisfy the requirements for the majority of our residents, not just a few individuals that may be upset over having to walk a few more feet. They're still going to get their parking spot. But in this particular case, we're going to look at the big picture, and we have plenty of evidence here from our town attorney and our fire department that this is necessary, along with the HOA request.
All right. With that, happy to entertain a motion.
I move to approve ordinance number 1.628 on second reading.
Second.
Thank you. We have a motion by Councilmember Barrington, a second by Councilmember Hefta. Councilmember Hefta?
Yes.
Councilmember Wilkes?
Aye.
Councilmember Dykes, yes. Councilmember Barrington?
Yes.
Councilmember Rivera? So we have a 5-0 unanimous vote. Thank you, everyone. And with no further items on the agenda, we will adjourn at 9:04. Thank you.